right, welcome to Strong Personalities. This is Yanni Bear bringing you the strong personalities behind all the big muscle and strongman. Today I have Claire Myler. Claire, how are you doing?
I am absolutely fantastic, thank you.
Thank you so much for jumping on. I know the week leading up to a competition like Clash on the Coast is very stressful. I know we were talking a little bit about like your high pressure job. I don't know how you deal with all that. So how are you dealing with all the stress that's going on leading up to this competition?
It's definitely tough, and you'll hear from the croaky voice. I've not been so well for the last few weeks, so I think with stress with work, not been so great. And obviously, this is a heavy comp. It's a big comp, and I'm really excited, but that means the training's been pretty intense. Sleep has been going by the wayside a little bit, and I've just abandoned housework. We just
Sacrifices have been made. Has your husband been helping out with the housework then? Because I know he's pretty strong too, right?
Yeah, the housework's not his strong point. No.
Like if it's a weakness in his training program, it's housework. All right. Yeah. So I want to go through a list real quick of your accomplishments so far in Strongman. Ready? All right. You were first in the World's Strongest Woman over 50, third in the World's Strongest Woman in over 40, first at the World's Strongest Woman under 82 kilo class. You were second at the Ultimate Wells, and then you had top 10 finishes at the UK Strong Women competition, and then the Brits under 82 kilo competition. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, all good.
How did you do all of that?
It was mad. It was a mad year. There were other comps as well, so a lot of those had qualifiers I had to do as well. So I think I did 12 comps last year with various things, and like I pulled a deadlift record and things as well, like 2 weeks after coming back from OSG. It's been tough, but I just love competing. Love it.
I can tell. Were there any competitions that you weren't able to compete in because of the hectic schedule you had?
Yeah, the Arnolds. We had Brits in the middle of the year, and Brits was great, but it was a heavy comp, and it had a real heavy yoke in it. I'm not so great with yoke. My back doesn't particularly like having heavy weights on it, historical injuries and bits and pieces. So I then got called up for the Arnolds, and it was absolute torture because I wanted to do it so bad. I mean, who doesn't want to be on the Arnold stage? But I just had to let my body rest. Otherwise, there was no chance of going to OSG and doing any good. And
so you missed out on Arnold's, but this isn't the first time you've gone to Arnold's, because you've actually gone as a bodybuilder. Is this correct?
It is. So the year before I did bodybuilding. So I kind of had about 4 years where I would mostly be bodybuilding, and then I'd do a couple of sort of novice or inters strong woman comps, but bodybuilding was the main focus. And I got to go on the Arnold stage the first time the Arnold's was in the UK, and yeah, that was pretty epic. Got a big picture with sort of the backdrop is Arnie up the top. That was cool.
Oh my gosh, that looks so fun. I saw some of the pictures that you posted on your Instagram, and that would have been a really good experience to do it back to back, but obviously health is the most important thing. What kind of foundation did bodybuilding build for you to transition so well into strongman competitions?
Discipline. I'm going to say it sounds weird that the strength is different. So obviously bodybuilding, the training, a lot of people think they're similar, but the training's sort of pretty different. For aesthetics, a lot of time under tension, a lot of control, a lot of isolating muscles. So you obviously do naturally build strength by the very nature of your training, but it's a very different type of strength. But for me, probably the biggest crossover is the discipline. So the ability to go in and train and be consistent in what I'm doing, and also kind of having all of those little muscles strong, which hopefully means you get sort of a little bit more stability around joints and things like that.
Yeah, the discipline that I've seen around bodybuilders is ridiculous, especially with the food. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Do you enjoy the strongman diet better than the bodybuilding diet?
Oddly, I eat pretty much the same type of food, just more of it. My nutrition guy, he's out at Clash as well, so Matt McKeegan, and he does my nutrition for me, and he's pretty brutal. There's no messing with Matt. So I get the same kind of food, just pretty much a lot more of it when I'm there. Apart from at the moment where I'm obviously cutting into 82.
Have you consistently had to cut for that 82? Because it sounds like you're like in betweener.
Yeah, so I used to sit sort of fairly comfortably there, and then for OSG, obviously in the masters class, no weight limits, so I sort of let myself get a bit bigger, which is nice, especially then. I did Clash qualifier in the UK, so Clash in the UK, and I did that in the under 91 because I'd just done a deadlift pull, so pulled the deadlift record, and I didn't want to cut at that time. I really should have cut because now it's pretty tough. Yeah.
But that's what you get with a little bit of but that's hindsight, right? Hindsight's 2020. I gotta ask you about this article that was written about you, and I love the quote on here. You called yourself the strongest old bird in the world. All right, tell me some of the things that you enjoy about being the old bird at competitions, and then some of the things you don't enjoy about that.
So I think I surprise people sometimes. People, I mean, if you see me up close, not on the camera, I do probably look as old as I am. But I think sometimes people are a bit surprised that you can still be working and improving at this age, and that's quite cool. So that's always a nice surprise. The downside of it is obviously the body takes so much longer to recover. It was actually a bonus for me at OSG that they cut it to 2 days, because if it was over 3, by day 3, I'd have probably been so stiff I couldn't walk.
Thank you, Hurricane Nicole, for that one.
Yeah. Although I'm probably going to get the opposite at Clash, where I think we're going to run through in like 2 hours and I'll probably just be crawling off and dying in the corner by the end of it.
Hey, okay, so I'm emceeing that show, and I'm known for pushing the pace as well. So I'm sorry ahead of time. Please don't hate me. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I say I'll be good. And I'm not going to swear.
No. Oh yeah. Me too. Tyler was like, hey, just remember this is going to be on ESPN. It's owned by Disney. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to get it out. I'm just going to like go into a bucket and just say all the cuss words that I feel like I need to say, and then go to uncle mode, which is where I edit all my curse words. I say like son of a biscuit and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm on the same boat as you there. So one of the cool things I saw on your social media was the Whale Strongest Women Rise and Take Action fundraiser. Can you please tell me a little bit about that and how you got into it?
So it was actually one of the other Welsh ladies. She was sort of setting it up and working about like abused women, and trying to work out a way that we could do something to raise some funds. So came up with the idea that we would lift stones and basically kind of do it on a raise money on how many stones we could lift, get some entries, get people on sponsor, a bit of charity day. So we did one in South Wales and one in North Wales. And it was a really great event. We all had a good laugh while we were doing it. We surprised ourselves that actually the best approach was to find the lightest stone you could and lift it as many times as possible. So yeah, not many of us were too keen on sort of doing tons of reps at the 100K stone, but I think one girl was smashing out the 25s like it was a tennis ball.
That's a good strategy, and I love that you participated in something like that. Now, we've talked about OSG and we're talking about Clash. Can you please compare the prep for both of them?
So OSG, I probably had like longer in terms of going into it, and they were all new events. It was a bit of a different approach for me, trying to understand how to do it. It was probably the first time I'd done a full prep for a comp. And my coach, I'm coached by Jenny Todd. Anyone knows like toddlers and stuff. So Traps Like Todd, if you follow her. She's also
Traps Like Todd?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she programs Donna Moore as well, and sort of lots of others. But she's an amazing coach in terms of being able to understand people's weaknesses and strengths and how to get the best out of them. So she really worked with lots of my historical injuries and worked on that. Coming into Clash, it's been really tough because there was no kind of gentle. Sorry, that was the dog sneezing.
Oh, yes. I love that. Oh, I thought that was a pillow this entire time. That's a dog.
So there's two. There's one there, and then there's another one here.
Oh, such a rough life, guys. Such a rough life. Okay, I thought that was a pillow this entire time. Okay, I'm so sorry. Continue.
Need to sleep, and we've got cats strolling around as well. So yeah, bit of a menagerie here. Clash has been tough. I mean, the weights are heavy. It's, I would say, it's probably the heaviest comp I've done in terms of overall, mostly because the US guys or girls, you're really good at pressing. All of the US girls are just amazing at pressing. So the overhead weights are heavy. Like compared to in the UK, I think we do a lot of deadlifts tend to be pretty heavy. Overhead, less so. So the log at Clash is a real challenge. Yeah. So
what are the differences do you notice about competitions in the US versus competitions in Wales?
So over here we don't have as many athletes. Obviously, we're a little tiny island. Wales, in particular, we really don't have an awful lot of athletes in Wales. It's really tough to get. We've obviously got the best. We've got Becca Roberts, but other than that, it's quite hard. And we're trying to bring a lot more women through and get them into the comps. So in terms of the pathways in the UK, it starts a lot lighter to try and bring women into the weight classes, particularly. But I think that's great and it's fantastic, but it's a real shock to the system when you then step up to something like OSG. That's a big step change for us. Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about your prep for competitions. You have a nutritionist. Is that correct? You have a coach that programs. Who else makes up your support system to make you successful, to help you be successful in Strongman?
Hubby, obviously, he's a strongman too. He's probably the one that pushes me most. He believes in me completely. I swear he still thinks that I'm like 25 and going to be world's strongest woman, but he's got total belief in me. Like my best mate, you can see, it's Spartan Atlas stones. So he makes like a lot of the Atlas stones in the UK, and he opened a gym middle of last year, and that's been such a game changer for us because we now have literally everything we want to train with. So he also does a bit of coaching on sort of some of my specific event stuff. So he's really helped me a lot as well.
Do y'all ever get competitive with each other?
Oh, massively. Oh, it's horrific. We've got a Hercules Hold at the back of the gym. And it's a pretty good one. And Becca used it to train for the Giants live show, so the team one. But when we get out there, even if it's not in your program, everybody ends up on it. If someone's using it, everybody's out there trying to compete with each other. The positive is I always win, unless Becca's there, but I always beat the lads.
Okay, so I've only done a Hercules Hold event one time ever. And it wasn't even the traditional handles that I see on your Instagram here. It was the ones with like the cylinder hole, yeah. So I was just holding those, and I'm watching your video right now. And if I was at your gym, I feel like that's where I would spend most of my time because it just looks so cool.
It is. It's brilliant. And so we have a good laugh as well. So it's quite a small gym. So we're a bit like a family in there, and everyone's encouraging. And we've got Becca in their trains, but we've got some really like good lads coming up and coming through, and hopefully going to drag more of them to like OSG Europe, OSG, and trying to persuade them that they want to do all of the Clash stuff as well.
So you have your hubby, you have a great gym environment, especially with the level of competitors you have like Becca. I want to know, how do your pets help with maintaining the sanity with your hectic schedule, or do they add to the stress of your schedule?
They both. So I work. So most of the time they're other than work colleagues talking about work, they're the people I talk to during the day. They don't respond that well. They do add a lot of stress. I've got 3 cats, 2 dogs. It's always chaos in the house. Always sort of, has anyone remembered to feed them? Always a good point. I'm pretty lucky. My mum lives nearby, and she kind of does doggy daycare when we're out training at weekends and things like that.
Oh, that does help. Yeah. Whatchamacallit. So you also have your mum. I love how you said that. Who else is part of like your team? If there's anybody else.
Yeah, so I've got like a couple of like best mates and stuff who train with. So Nia and Kelly, and we pretty much just laugh most of the time when we're doing things. And they both compete as well. So, they know the stresses and strains, but they're like my little cheer crew. So if you ever watch any of the videos and you hear some strange shouting in the background, that's probably Nia in Welsh. So Nia speaks Welsh and she tends to shout at me in Welsh as well.
I love that. Real quick, what does self-care look like for you? Like, what do you do to take care of yourself so you can maintain the competition schedule that you like to carry?
I think like good nutrition obviously is great. I'd really like to sleep a lot more. Yeah, good supplements. So quite lucky we another girl that we train with a lot. Evelina, she works with Strom Sports Nutrition. So I don't know if you know Strom Sports. And they are probably like the best range of like supplements and healthcare things that you need and all the proteins and everything that go with it. So use a lot of the Strom products. They really, help with your health and maintaining all of those joints, things like that, that as you get older, get a little bit more volatile, I'm going to say.
I just turned 35 yesterday. So yes, I totally understand that one, that I'm paying a little bit closer attention to all those little aches and pains that I'm having. What do you do to take care of your mental health? Because that's a big one for me.
I don't know. I think going to the gym, training, planning comps. So the reason I've ended up at Clash is because after OSG, I thought, no, I'm going to have a post-comp crash. I'll enter the Clash in the UK just to go and have some fun. The Chaos guys put on a great comp, and I thought I'd go down there and do that comp. I went and I did it, and I won the under 91. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Looked at the under 91 weights from last year, and then went, oh man, that's a bit heavy. I thought, maybe I'll do the under 82. Looked, and I had literally like 10 days to do the online qualifier. And I was like, oh, okay, go on, we'll go for that. And then that ended up in qualifying for under 82s. And so for me, always having something to look forward to, always having the next thing planned in, knowing I'm going training, I think that's the best thing for my mental health.
I love that, because one of the things that I've taken from this conversation so far is you are consistently having goals for yourself, but you're also being realistic and self-aware on giving yourself a break when you need it. Like the example that we talked about where you really wanted to go to Arnold's, but you knew that after the previous competition, because of the heavy yoke in your back, you're like, you know what? I need to step back. I need to take a break. There's bigger goals that I want to achieve. I can always come back to it next year.
It's pretty tough at my age, because you always wonder, if you get a big injury when you're older, it's a lot harder to come back from it. It is pretty tough. But I just have a positive attitude on everything. I just want to do as much as I can. And as long as the body holds up, I'll keep pushing.
And I think your biggest tool, at least from this conversation that I've heard, is the discipline is what's actually protected your health the most out of everything that you do. So big props to that.
Yeah, it's definitely so. I'm not a wild party person. I never particularly was, to be honest, because I've always done sport. So, but really kind of just making sure that you prioritize the things that you want to do in life and taking time to do that. That's a really good thing for me.
Tell me about some of the other sports that you grew up with.
So I started out as a slalom kayaker. So I was sort of like British team and stuff for that. Gave up that. I started downhill mountain bike racing, did a couple of World Cups at that level. That was pretty epic, but I crashed a lot. I've tried my hand at a few other things. Triathlon, I'm not good at running. I am not built to run. But then motorbike racing, so like circuit racing. So I used to race Ducatis. I've raced on the Isle of Man. I've raced sort of circuits throughout Europe and in the UK. The last race I did was in Italy at the Misano circuit. But again, crashing comes with the territory, and it started to hurt a lot.
I was about to say, is that where your back injury came from?
The back injury came from crossing off an off-road bike, dirt bike. Yeah, landing on my back in an accident after that.
Ooh, wow.
I have a metal pin inside my left femur, so I snapped my femur got airlifted into hospital. So I've metal working there. I've broken my right collarbone 3 times. I've broken all my fingers, my ribs, various concussions, elbows, knees. I'm pretty broken up. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Remind me if there's ever a fight. You're on my team because you're tough. You're super. Do you know Joey Grapp?
I know the name. Yeah.
Okay, so he was on the men's masters, and y'all have like similar backgrounds because he's a pastor right now, but he used to be a wrestler, like WWE style wrestling, and then he used to be a bull rider in high school, and then he talks about almost all his injuries are from Strongman and like nothing from all those previous. So yeah, are you an adrenaline junkie? Because I feel like a lot of those are like adrenaline rushes that you enjoy.
Generally speaking, if it looks like it could hurt me and be hazardous, I'll probably go, yeah, that's for me.
Yeah. What's left on your bucket list? Because you've done so much. Like you just named off like 4 things where I'm like, man, I need to get on top of my bucket list.
I miss snowboarding. So that wasn't great for the knees, like torn ACL and stuff. So I'd like to get back to the mountains a bit more. Probably at the moment the goal is still around Strongman and stuff. I'd like to go to Brits this year. That'd be pretty cool if I could get a Brits invite this year. Go back to OSG again, see if I can improve on last year. And then I don't know. I'm sure that I'll find something stupid to try in the future.
So you're talking about trying to make it back to OSG. What's going to be the area where you have to improve to take that next step?
For me, I need to up my game on my overhead. So I talked about the broken collarbones and the shoulders and stuff. So I have.
They're kind of important, yeah.
Well, from it skews me, so they weren't operated, so I'm unbalanced. So overhead is, whilst I'm statically strong and I can press things strict, passable, because of the mobility issues. My overhead is like massively different. I've got a great deadlift. If you try to compare that to my overhead, it's very much a poverty overhead.
It's a poverty overhead. I like that phrasing. All right. So you've talked about some of the competitions that you want to do. What about in your personal life? What are some of the next goals in the next year that you want to hit?
Keep supporting hubby. So, it's a lot tougher for the guys. So we both started similar, but he's like coming and growing and still pushing. And he's not quite as old as me, but he's probably more broken because he's ex-military. So he's got various injuries and stuff he's dealing with as well. So keep supporting him. That's pretty cool. Keep bringing all my friends through at the gym. So we've got some young lads coming through there and just really want to see them do well. So we were helping them with online qualifiers this week, setting it all up and recording, just getting more people into the sport, loving it, helping people. I love doing that.
I got a quick question. What kind of words of wisdom do you like to give people that are coming into Strongman?
I think it's like, don't be afraid to go harder, to take the next step. So I see so many people come in and go, oh, I'm not good enough for that comp. I'm like, just crack on. Just get in there. Just do it. You will never get better by just training in the gym. You have to compete. Competing is just such a world apart. So the more comps you do as you're coming through, plan them. Don't do one every weekend, you'll die. But just
once a month like you, right? Just once a month like you.
These youngsters, that's fine. But I think just push your boundaries. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone.
No, I love that. We definitely tend to play it a little safe, especially when we're into a new sport. And it's a drastic difference between how you move in a competition versus just training, because you have that added pressure. And I think the sooner you get used to that pressure in a competition, the sooner you'll know how to actually train in your everyday training, because it's a huge difference, and it's a good wake up call when you actually see everybody moving in the actual competition.
Things like that. I mean, for Clash, for example, we know that it's going to be fast paced, and I've been told there's probably not going to be much chance for warm up. So
Correct.
you see some people that go in and the only way they can get up to their sort of their comp weight or something is to build up steady. And I'm sort of saying to the guys, look, we're just going to have to be able to hit it. Sometimes you have to go in, you've got a fast turnaround. You've got to be able to finish, change, onto your next event, no warm-up, go. Or at OSG, you've got to be able to keep your adrenaline high enough for 3 hours until your next event. So,
yeah, which one do you prefer?
I'm going to say the faster pace. OSG was tough. To not spike your adrenaline, crash, to try and maintain that level, maintain that focus. Yeah, that was pretty tough.
So I emceed the under 64 kilo competition last year, and that was my first experience with Clash. And it was so impressive how quickly we were running through the events, because I think the goal was to finish in 2 hours, and I think we got to like 2.5 hours. And it was literally like I'd be announcing, it's like, all right, that was our last competitor. Everybody else needs to already be warming up for the next event. But even though the athletes did great, I like how a lot of them were like, I kind of like this. I'm definitely going to have to change my training style for this, because like you mentioned, you're going to have to be able to hit those heavier weights at a quicker pace. But since you're already warm from the previous event, maybe you won't need that build up.
Yeah, I remember watching that and thinking, wow. And I know that both Rhiannon and Shannon, like they both competed in there and they both commented about like it was manic. And I think also with the 64s, it was hot. Shannon really struggled with like heat and stuff over there. We doesn't get very hot over here. It did last year. We had 2 comps that were really like massively hot, and it was such a shock. No one knew what tacky to use because we don't compete in the heat.
Yeah,
it's freezing.
So we're here in Dallas, so that's where the competition was, and it was in April. And then the second we hit April, it starts getting hot. Like we were in the 90s and higher. And then the scarier part about April is that it's humid from all the rain we've been getting in March and the beginning of April. So yes, the athletes were definitely struggling with that, especially once we got to the later events.
Yeah. So the girls have said to me for Clash on the Coast that it's pretty warm, but you get a bit of breeze, maybe kind of keeping it a little bit cooler. And I've been keeping an eye, and it looks like the guys are going to have a bit windy and slightly shitty weather, and we're potentially going to have like quite a nice day on the Sunday. So
it works out for you. I love that. So let's finish off with the Clash on the Coast. What events are you excited about? Which events are you nervous about? How do you think you're going to do?
Oh, damn.
You know it's going to be a good answer when it starts off like that. Okay, go for it.
So I have the events written on a whiteboard here next to me. So log, terrified. It's hit and miss. Is what I'm going to say on log. Hit and miss, I don't know. The deadlift, the frame deadlift and carry, love that. Yeah, really. Yeah. It's a tough event. It's it's moving, it's deadlifts, it's grip, it's kind of got everything. So I'm looking forward to that. Keg toss. I'm hoping there's no nearby spectators.
Oh no! Okay.
I have moderate power. I have very little directional control. It goes where the hell it wants. Sometimes it's up and over, sometimes it's forward, sometimes it's sideways. So all I'm just going to say is when I'm on the keg, stand clear.
Got it.
The medley, just hoping not to die, literally hoping not to die. That is brutal. Really tough, and intrigued to see how the yoke push is going to go, how it's going to, whether it's going to stick or actually move on the tarmac. I've tried it in different floorings and it's very different everywhere I've tried it. And then the stone, interesting event, massive stone, not so much the weight, but 20-inch stone. So I had one made specifically for me to try it.
That's right, because of your friends, right?
Yeah, so it was pretty cool, but it's a bit different because we don't have the lightweight concrete that you have. So we had to make it with an insert. So it's a little bit unbalanced. It feels very different. And I'm intrigued on how it's going to work, keep going. So, people are coming and going and how much time you've got. I think that's going to be a good one to watch. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of any opportunities you get to like touch the weight, move around and everything. How's your back holding up right now with training?
The back is doing okay. I've been doing a lot of work overhead, so my triceps are pretty battered at the moment. Yeah, they're definitely struggling. I spent most of last year with a bicep issue on the left arm, which wasn't helped by literally every comp I did last year had a sandbag event in it, mostly sandbag to shoulder.
Yep.
If like literally, I think I did 5 comps with a sandbag to shoulder. So that did not help the bicep at all last year. So touch wood, that's feeling a little bit okay. I'm just hoping I can get through the cake carry more than anything with that.
All right. Well, have you started your deload yet?
No, I've got another log session tonight. Yeah.
Darn.
We've got a little bit of events tomorrow. Last go on the stoned, and then we'll start to deload, and then we fly on Wednesday.
All right. Well, I fly in on Wednesday too, so I'll see you there. It's been great talking to you. Is there any like last words that you want to send this out on?
I'm like a big kid. I'm so excited to meet some of these ladies and like compete with them. There's names in there that I've followed for years in the sport, and I feel like I'll be all starstruck seeing them. And then there's like new girls coming through, and I'm like watching them on Instagram and thinking, oh, they're epic, and it's just going to be really cool to compete with all these ladies.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be I don't know if you know her, but her name is Sophia, and then I can't remember. She's 17.
17. We worked out I'm old enough to be her grandma.
Wait, how old is she again?
17.
Yeah, she's 17. I met her at a regionals event, and I was looking at her, and I was like, how old is she? And they said it, and I was like, oh my gosh, she is freakishly strong for her age.
She did an awesome Hummer deadlift, really cool. And we were chatting the other day in the chat group, and I was saying about stuff, and we were talking about stressful days, and she said, yeah, she's having a stressful day in high school.
Yeah, I get to interview her on Sunday. So, do you have any questions that you want me to ask her that I think you think she would have fun with?
I guess like how does she deal with like the guys in school? Because as we get older, you always get a lot of ego guys who kind of hate it if you're stronger than them.
Yes.
But as an older person, we just laugh it off. But I wonder whether she gets any kind of hassle from the guys in school because she's going to be way stronger than a load of teenage guys.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask her that. That's a great question. Okay, Claire, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm going to let you go now because I know you still got plenty of work to do. You've got some training, and I will see you in a couple of days. I'm so excited to see you in person. It's been a great conversation. I will see you next week, and I hope you kill it.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, and thanks for having me on.
Of course.